Late last week, we learned of a massive data breach involving roughly 16 billion login accounts. Now, to put that in perspective, 16 billion is roughly double the amount of people on Earth, indicating many of us may have had information from more than one account leaked. So now might be a good time to reset your online passwords. But based on some new consumer identity trends report, a lot of us are making major mistakes when doing so. Joining me now to talk more about that is Greg Rainbird with Auth0 Okta. Greg, good to speak with you.
Good to speak with you too.
First, maybe just give us an idea of how concerned we are about identity theft, due to data breaches like the one we just learned of last week.
I think it's a concern for everybody, especially Canadians. And there's a lot of interesting data that's just come out of the report that you just mentioned. Specifically, around 76% of all Canadians would actually stop doing business with any organization after a data breach. So I would say it's critical, not just from a business perspective, but also a Canadian consumer perspective.
Well, passwords alone won't protect us. They can help. I'm curious what common mistakes you found many people are making when it comes to passwords that are leaving us vulnerable to breaches like this.
Yeah, and it's an interesting conversation to have. There's some of the results from our survey, at least, show that nearly 67% of Canadians across Canada are incredibly concerned about identity fraud, yet 65% of them are still using the same passwords over and over again across multiple accounts. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with the complexity of remembering different passwords and having that on your shoulders every single time you log in. So there are ways, obviously, as an identity company here at Okta, we're helping people look towards the future, around education around identity, but also providing them with new measures such as passwordless access, which includes biometrics.
Maybe give us some information about that, because I know when I heard about this, the first thing on my mind was I need to change all my passwords. Give me some advice, and those watching advice. What are some best practices to, make us more protected against breaches and fraud?
Absolutely. And it's interesting you say that. I actually had exactly the same conversation with my partner over dinner last night around the ease of using the same password with every single account that we access. So I think number one goes towards please don't use the same password for every single account that you're going to access, but also the education around making sure that individuals are properly educated around using biometrics such as fingerprint to access their data that they're looking to do through different web services, and then also utilizing things like biometrics and passwordless access, which is something that here at Okta we're extremely focused on, and making sure that that information gets out to market quickly so that individuals can adopt it.
You gave a little bit of data from your study about, the impact to businesses. How damaging can a breach be to their bottom line and their future? Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's a question that we get very often, obviously working in the identity space. So just to give you a couple of numbers, almost 3/4 of Canadians say that they would actually stop doing business with an organization after a data breach. Now, the compelling information around that is that only 1/3 of them say, or over 1/3 of them say, that they were actually very unlikely to return to that organization after they've made sure that they've put the right practices in place. So in an increasingly digital world, trust is everything, and identity really is at the heart of it. So back to the research again, shows that Canadians won't really stick around after a data breach, and for many, once the trust is broken, it's gone for good. So incredibly impactful.
Yeah, a bit of a wake-up call last week. Greg, thanks so much for the tips. It was great speaking with you.
Of course, thank you so much.